Hello again, everyone. Thank you for sticking around.
I have a question.
Yes, Michael.
I don't know if you are going to speak about it or not, but about the particle mo in kmo.
That's
So
very interesting.
is
Yeah,
it
that's a good
accepted
question.
in other languages?
Well, the thing is that the particle mo as it is, I believe, is attested only in Canaanite, or specifically only in Hebrew. The problem with that is that Canaanite has undergone what we call the Canaanite shift, or the change from a long a to o. So in theory, this could be cognate with the Aramaic ma, or the Arabic ma, or at least some of them, because they have different meanings and different uses. So, for example, kemo and kama in Arabic, that's almost the same word. And it's also like completely phonologically parallel. So I would suspect that mo is related to ma, or at least to this specific.
Although we have ma.
Yes, but our ma is different. That's what I think. Because, for example, Ugaritic also has this ma mem hey, mh. So, and also in Hebrew, we geminate, like in biblical Hebrew, the following word starts
Yes,
with a geminate consonant after ma.
yes.
So it kind of seems like it was not just a regular long vowel, because that would have changed to mo, but
Maybe
there
it was man.
man or mah or something, or mahan, or I don't know. But these could be two different particles that have merged in some of the languages and merged differently in others. But I don't know. It's a very good question.
Because there is also another theory that ma is consisted from me and ha, the definite particle. So, and that's why you geminate after the ma.
No, that would be impossible for two reasons. First of all, well, ma, as I said, is attested in Ugaritic. So in Ugaritic, there is no definite article, and certainly not hey. And also, I don't think that mean there is no mean. I don't think there's a mean in Ugaritic, and even if there is one, I don't think its nasal assimilates to the following word. So I'm sorry, but ma can be synchronically derivable from meha, but not diachronically.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? Nothing. Okay. So we can keep going. There's this B for in, but there's also wistu or wista for in. The latter is probably older because we see that in Akkadian, and we don't see B in Akkadian, or in Eblite. So wistu or wista kind of looks like some kind of noun, like it has a full formation. It doesn't really look like the other particles here, because it doesn't have all these aleph and wow and mem or kaf or stuff like that, like these more basic particles or building blocks, but it just looks like it has an actual pattern and root. So this could also mean that it is old, newer, not older, but I don't know. But we can see this particle in Akkadian, as I said, Ishtu, and also Ethio-Semitic, Westa in Ge'ez, Westa, or a B, something, Wust in Amharic. And in Arabic, you have this as a noun, wasat. Also in other languages, you have this as a root, to reach, in Hebrew, leoshit.
Where does Arabic thi come from?
Sorry?
Arabic thi, the preposition, where does this...
Oh, yeah. So I believe that it comes from the noun meaning mouth.
Okay, because on Monday we talked about this with Professor Strick, and he was less convinced. So because we also floated this idea, yeah.
Yeah, the mainstream theory is that it comes from a contraction of something like beefy
Okay.
in the mouth of,
Yeah. Yeah.
like dakhil, like in the inside of. So
Yeah.
we do see these processes, but on the other hand, also fi could be somehow distantly related to a particle like Hebrew po or Arabic fa, or all these different particles with a fe, which I don't know. But the mainstream theory is that it comes from something like beefy. Yeah.
Okay.
Because otherwise, why beefy and not just fi? Because otherwise it should have been fa, like dakhila should have been in the accusative. Any question? Any other question? But Arabic also has this B, like it's not absent from Arabic. I think it, never mind. Let's not talk about the differences. But okay. There's also li for two. Yes, question? Sorry? Anyone? No one. Okay. So li, two, also absent from East Semitic, but pretty much across the board in West Semitic. Bain, baina, between. At least this we do have in East Semitic, or at least only in Eblite, not in Akkadian, unfortunately. In Akkadian, I think we have ina birit, right? Biritu, something like that, which might be connected, but also might not, unfortunately. And min we also have in Eblaite, but not in Akkadian, so probably Proto-Semitic as well. Any other question regarding any of these particles or prepositions, which I'm just mentioning? Okay.
What
Right.
about ma or im?
Ma'a or im? Well, that's a very good question. Just a sec, sorry. So im exists in Hebrew and in Ugaritic. I do not believe it exists in other languages. There is also inda in Arabic, which some people connect to Hebrew imadi. But I don't think that this is attested in other languages. Ma'a is also not attested in other languages. And it's very interesting, specifically because it means literally in the hand of an ancient Egyptian, and it is a very common preposition there. We don't know how exactly they pronounce it, but it's M and Ein. And it M is in, and Ein means hand. So in the hand of something, with something. Could be connected, could not, I don't know. But the Proto-Semitic word for with, which I would suggest is this one, ittai or itti, which we can see, unfortunately, only in Akkadian and Hebrew. I don't think it exists in any other Semitic language, unfortunately. And these are some of the other ones. There's Eli, towards, alai, on. I think Eli is not attested in Akkadian. Correct me if I'm wrong, but alai is, thankfully. I forgot tahtai, also the opposite, under. Adai, up to, until, also attested in Akkadian, so reconstructed to Proto-Semitic. Lau, if, for unreal, or also for wishes. I think it's quite well attested in Semitic. And th, which is the relative particle. Attested mostly in Akkadian, but also in Ethio-Semitic as se or si or so, soba, and in Hebrew, I believe, as she, also in other Canaanite languages.
Is
Any-
it شيء اختصار? Sorry. Is it شيء like a short form of أشير?
Okay, so this is very, very disputed. So I don't think, like, it looks exactly like a shortened form of a shell, but I don't think that she comes from asher. I am in a minority, unfortunately, with this view, because even my supervisor for my dissertation believes otherwise and has written about it. But I think that it makes no sense for she to be derived from asher, because she has more meanings than asher. Asher is only for relative clauses, and she can open all kinds of clauses, which I think makes more sense for it to be connected to this older relative particle. But it is very controversial. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Could you nonetheless elaborate a little bit? So what's the other thing? So because I thought that it's derived from atar, that's the kind of more likely version, I always thought.
Yeah, asher is definitely derived from athar,
Okay.
or something like that, or athr.
Yeah.
But
Okay. So, but the question is whether
they are unrelated.
it was shortened then. Yeah, I also don't believe that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And also, we never have ashar in Hebrew, but we do have sha in very old, like poetic lines, like ad shakamti dvora from Deborah's song. So, so I don't think it holds water, but it is disputed. Okay, I think we're done with the morphology. This is just a nice slide once again from Moscati's book, just to show some of the correspondences. Any question regarding this? You can see that Ethiopic has la'ala instead of ala, which probably comes from a combination between la and ala, like Hebrew me'al from min ala. So makes sense. Any question? Apparently Syriac has interesting. Okay, so I just wanted to just make sure that everyone is still around and awake and everything. So I would love if anyone would want to answer, like with one sentence, just about any of these questions, just to like, does anyone remember what a phoneme is, for example? I must have done a very bad job.
The smallest unit of a word, the smallest unit of
Yeah, that can change a meaning. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The smallest unit of a word that can change a meaning, the smallest sound unit that is not like it cannot be decomposed and still have meaning. Okay. Does anyone remember what an allophone is?
That's the surface realization of a phoneme.
Yes, very good. Thank you. Very, very good. Well, I won't force everyone here to name a Semitic language, so we'll just move on. But just keep in mind that I would love to have you more involved. So the next thing we're going to talk about, wait. Once again, I need to do a new share, right? If I want to show the actual slides. So the next thing we're going to talk about is semantics, which is not my favorite, and therefore we won't talk about it that long. It's also a difficult subject to talk about from any angle. So semantics is the meanings of things. There are different types of scientific notions of semantics. So there's lexical semantics, which is what people do in lexica and lexicography when writing dictionaries. So for example, the lexical definition of a chair would be something, it would be technical, it would be something that is supposed to include every chair and not exclude any chair. and include every chair and exclude everything that is not a chair. There's also formal semantics, which I don't really understand anything about. It's really, really complicated and it has like functions and stuff. I don't know. And cognitive semantics. So that's more like the part where meanings have, on top of their lexical meanings, a word has what we call a connotation. So some kind of baggage that it carries around that it's really hard to define, but it's based probably on the experiences that we had with this word and so on. But it can also be like neurological. It can also be like there's a lot of ways to look at these things and at the understanding of both words and sentences. So for example, if a word has more than one meaning, it could be, you could do a neurological experiment to see exactly how long it takes someone to pick out one of the meanings in context, and so on and so forth. So people do actually do these things. Some common semantic shifts. There's generalization, which is when a word becomes something more than it was, like the meaning of a word becomes more inclusive. We're going to see a lot of examples, so you need to remember the definitions to name the examples soon. The opposite of that is specification, when a word meaning becomes more specific. Then there's metonymy or something like that, which means when a word moves from denoting something to denoting something close to it or similar, no, close to it. And metaphor is when it becomes for something similar. Any question regarding these definitions or any examples that you want to give? Because we're all the time we're surrounded by these things. For example, generalization, just off the top of my head, like in American English, you can say couple and mean a few, right? So this, it like from meaning just two, it has shifted to mean two or three or four or five or something like that. So this is an example of generalization. Specification.
The word queen is derived from the word for woman.
Oh,
So-
nice. Very good. Very, very good. Thank you for that. That is a good example. I did not know. Metonymy is, for example, the word zait in Arabic meaning oil instead of olive. So in all the other languages, it means olive. And in Arabic, it just shifted from olive to oil, which is close to olive. Like they appear in similar contexts, similar, and so forth. And a metaphor is when something is moves to denote something similar. So for example, the word dips in Arabic to mean molasses instead of honey. So this is something similar. It's a metaphor. It is like a simile. I don't know. It's like a simile. Molasses are like honey or something like that. I hope that was clear. So now we're going to look at some excerpts from Kogan and Militarev's book of Semitic etymological dictionary for anatomical words. So for example, for the word liver. So this word is quite certainly reconstructed to mean liver in Proto-Semitic because it has the meaning liver in so many different languages. But in some of the languages, we see a more specific or a more general or a close or a metaphorical meaning. So Akkadian, kabatu, inside of the body, would that be A, generalization, B, specification, C, metonymy, or D, metaphor?
Specification. In other languages, it becomes specific for
Generalization.
Generalization, exactly. Like we assume that
the
liver
opposite.
is the original meaning, and in Akkadian, it
Okay,
means something more general, exactly, inside of the body. Yeah. You can always look at it the opposite way, of course. But if I assume that that liver is the original meaning, and then we have liver, which is the same, and then we have emotions, thought, mind, spirit, I don't know, mood. What would that be?
metaphor.
Yes, exactly.
In my
So
opinion, it is. Huh?
yeah, so they thought for some reason that we have feelings in the liver, but that's just a metaphor.
كلها كافود the same.
Oh, I don't know, kavod. Oh, that's a different question. We'll talk about that sometime else. But it just means big, probably in origin. Then meant respect, or big or heavy, then respect. I don't know if there's a relationship between the word for liver and the word for heavy, but they do seem, well, identical. Amarna kabatumma on the belly. What is this?
That might be metonymy.
Yes, metonymy, exactly. So the liver is close to the belly, or it could be also, no,
No,
I don't-
I think
also-
it's probably closer to metonymy, but you know,
yeah, exactly.
it's often a bit difficult to specify
Yes.
that. That
Yes.
struck me as
Yes.
Yeah.
So mandaic, kabada, digestive organ. Once again, generalization. No. Arabic, kabid, liver, but also entrails, so also generalization. Is liver, stomach, belly, once again, either generalization or metonymy. And so on. Okay, next one, the word for lap. So Akkadian apparently has chutzannu, sash. What would that be? If the original meaning would be lap, chutzannu sash would be what kind of semantic shift? Would be a metonymy. So like if you put a sash on, like it's on your lap or something like that, so it's near your lap or something like that. I don't know. But there's also khatanu, to shelter, receive in a friendly way, which we also know from Arabic, hudan, lap, hadana yahdun, to provide pleasant conditions. So this would be a
حضانة also, like a kindergarten.
yeah, hadana, exactly. So that would be what kind of semantic shift from lap to shelter, receive in a friendly way?
Metaphor.
Yes, exactly. Very good. Also, Hebrew chotzen, fold of garment, is probably a metaphor because they thought it was similar to, or maybe it's a metonymy like chotzanu sash, or maybe either. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see if there's another one. So there's the word for back of the neck, which, for example, in Mehri means camel's back and neck in front of the hump. So that is some kind of specification from a back of neck of everyone to just camels. Any question?
I have one related to same kabed. There is also كبد in Arabic as a فعل, as a verb. كبده خسائر فادحة.
Yeah.
That means
Like to impose or to get, like to give.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, probably related to Hebrew kavod, kaveh. I don't know. I really don't know. But there's also kabed in Arabic.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there's a relationship between the word for liver and the word for heavy.
I also have a question.
Yes.
Like Hebrew lechem, so we have Arabic lahm, then we have so there's a distinction, and to me it seems that the common concept there is basically a main like staple of most important kind of food. And
Yeah.
I think somewhere else, I don't know, Phoenician or so, they also had it like the nuance of maybe even fish, or I'm not really sure. So is do you have an idea what was the original meaning? So was there something like it's the most important kind of food, or like where did it come from?
Yeah, so I will try to conjure up something to talk about this because it's a very, very problematic word and very disputed. The thing about fish was probably refuted.
Okay.
See, for example, what about lechem, what Halot says about the word lechem. So obviously, yes, the word for bread in Hebrew and the word for meat in Arabic are connected. But there's also lahum in Hebrew, in biblical Hebrew, a very rare word which means flesh, body, which must be connected as well to the lahem and probably closer. And there's also leilachem, meaning to fight, which I don't know if it's connected at all. And so lechem exists in Ugaritic meaning bread or food, and in Akkadian lachamu, which means to eat, I think also, but I don't think it's a very common word.
Ugaritic too.
Yes, and Ugaritic as well, meaning also to eat, right? To eat, to feed, yes. So I really don't know. But then, oh yeah, here, Sokotri fish. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna show soon. But perhaps
this was refuted, the Sokotri.
Yes, I will soon show why it was refuted. But some people think, and this could be, that there is a connection between this word and the word, the Ge'ez word or Ethiopic word, Ethio-Semitic word in general, lam, lahem, for cow. Could be connected. Not really sure about that, though. Now, regarding the word for fish, in Kogan and Militarev's second Semitic etymological dictionary, which is for animal names, you can find the word. Wait. Yeah, sorry, this is taking too long. Yes, this is the one. You can see it, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, Sokotri, if you remember, has this problem of merging the uvular fricatives with the pharyngeal fricatives. So when Sokotri lehem, meaning big fish, was discovered, people thought, oh my, this is beautiful, this is amazing. This is probably related to the meaning for basic food or something like that. But then this word was also identified in Harsusi lechem, Jibali al-Khum, and so forth, and eventually connected to this meaning, Lachmu in Akkadian, meaning a monster or a mythical monster or something like that. Arabic luchum, some kind of whale or giant fish, or I don't know, and so forth. Is everything clear?
Okay, thanks.
Great. Yeah, sorry. No, it was really exciting for them to find this, but oh yeah, sorry, not the right one. Yeah. Any other question?
I have a question about the particle qad in Arabic, because we have two different
I don't know.
meanings.
Yeah.
Is there anything related or similar in other Semitic languages?
I don't know of anything related or similar in any Semitic language, but I will definitely check and look it up and say it next time because it's a very interesting question. I actually have no idea. It's one of these places where Arabic seems very innovative in some of the things. Arabic qad means either تقريب الماضي من الحال relating like perfect or something like that, like connecting.
like akbar.
Yeah, and also,
كبار أكلت.
yeah, exactly. And also it could mean I might do
Maybe.
that for a future.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a weird particle. Yep. Okay. How do we determine what is a retention, what is an invasion? Of course, a very important question throughout all of this course, but especially in semantics, it is very hard to determine. As we saw, Akkadian, the most ancient language has already displayed certain semantic innovations, and it is hard to determine whether or not they are actually retentions. I don't know. Why do certain basic words not appear in certain languages? For a language to lose the word for big fish, well, okay, it's not that big a deal, but for example, the word ar or something like that for land or ground or earth exists in all of the Semitic languages, but has no trace in Ethio-Semitic whatsoever. It is substituted for a method, which is known from other languages, but as a much rarer variant. And there is no arts, but in all of the other languages, this is a basic regular word for ground or earth or something like that. To be sweet, all of the languages or most of the languages have this verb to be sweet. Aramaic doesn't have it. I don't know why. It does not have the word for finger. Why? How could this happen? I have absolutely no idea. It's such a weird thing to happen, like for such a basic word to be completely forgotten. And Hebrew does not have this word for molar, which exists pretty much everywhere in Semitic. And modern South Arabian does not have this root akala. How do you forget a word for to eat? How do you substitute it for another word? Like you can substitute it, but completely forget it? I don't know. Really weird. Etc. Can semantic shift be justified? Another open question. I have no idea. Like I can describe a semantic shift using these terms that I said, but first of all, it doesn't always work. And second of all, it does not really let me understand why and when semantic shifts happen. It just shows me how. But I have no idea what a motivation could be. Like if a semantic shift would only happen, for example, with these words, if a semantic shift would only happen when ambiguity would appear, that would make more sense to me. For example, the word for to be sweet in Aramaic, ta and tha merged. So there's another word which was mathakja or mathaka or something like that, which meant to, I don't know, to suck, to eat or something like that. And just probably these words, it could be that in order to disambiguate, they had to have a different root for to be sweet. But this is not the case in all of the other words here. So I don't know. For example, Arabic wathaba to jump, that does not fit in any of the terms that I presented earlier. Like it's not
It should be sit down.
Yes, exactly. In all of the Semitic languages, this word means to sit down. And in Arabic, it means to jump, which is the opposite. I mean, it's not close, it's not similar, it's not more general, and it's not more specific. It's just the opposite. What about loanword semantics? So sometimes when we loan a word, it has a different meaning than what it had in the original language. For example, the word kishad or kisad or something like that, meaning neck, exists in Akkadian and in modern South Arabian and in Ethio-Semitic, but it is also attested in Aramaic, but meaning a necklace. So this would completely change the status of this word in this language. So from a word that means something very, very basic, this language does not need it for the basic meaning, and it uses it for something distinct and more specific. I don't know if that was clear. Any questions regarding this?
The opposite thing is very common between Hebrew and Arabic.
I don't know about very common, but there are some famous examples. Do you want to?
Like ke'ev in Hebrew, it's mean pain, and in Arabic, it's mean to be sad.
Yes, but I would not call that the opposite. I mean, pain and to be sad, I think, have a metaphorical relationship between them.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a good question. There are, like, for example, ani and ghani, some people think that they are connected. I don't think so, but you can find these things.
Yeah, ashir and asir.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I don't know. I don't know. Any other question? Okay, now we're gonna take a look for the time we have left at Kogan's book, which is called Genealogical Classification of Semitic the Lexical Isoglosses. So there's this common linguistic thing, cross-linguistic thing called the Swadesh list, which is the 100-word list of allegedly the most simple terms the language should have, and it is in general thought of a good representation of the connection of languages to see what percentage of these 100-word lists they share and what not. So in this chapter, Kogan talks about the 100-word list we can reconstruct for Proto-Semitic. And you can see that it has a lot of gaps in it, which kindly shows that the Swadesh word list was not thought up in order to deal with Semitic languages. And a lot of words that are very basic in Semitic are not that basic in other languages and vice versa. So then he talks about other words that are not included in the Swadesh list, but are very important in Semitic. For example, to irrigate. All of the Semitic languages, or almost all, I think all of them, have this root shin kuf yud, to irrigate, which is not a very basic word in languages cross-linguistically at all. Okay, so we're gonna have a force break in like a minute, but then we'll continue until the class is over.